What's up, y'all? In this video, we're gonna talk about the mistakes I made when I was quitting my 9 to 5 so that you cannot make these mistakes and fly like a bee. Fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle. Ooh, ooh, dee, ooh, doo, dee, doo, 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 doo. Fly high, high. Enough flying. We flying like dragons round here. Okay, it's dragon. It's Lamar was the freedom dragon coming at you. Okay, enough games. You are the creator of everything around you. When I was thinking about creating this video, I thought a lot about whether or not I should. But the most scary act is also the greatest chance for courage. Hashtag courage, okay? Hashtag it on the courage, okay? Let's go. Alright, so now that you understand the topic of the video, I'm gonna break this into about 2 parts. The first part is about what I should have done before deciding to leave the job. As in, as I was preparing for the day to one day leave years later, because I've actually been trying to quit my job for about 7 years. Back when I was in college, I told a friend while we were in the computer lab, or I think it was the math lab at the time, I told him that I would be a full-time entrepreneur and that I would quit my 9 to 5 so that I could do it. It just happened to take me like 7 years to figure out how to do it. In the end, I realized that, hey, I'm just not that good at planning. I said, hey, I just ain't that good at this planning thing. Hey, something's got to give here. I'm either doing this or I ain't. They said it don't make sense. I said, hey, do I look like I'm scared? Okay, let's roll. Okay, let's make it happen. Shoot, sometimes you got to pull the trigger and figure out what you're going to do after that. And so while I'm making this video talking about how these are mistakes I made as I left, I want to stress that perfection is the enemy of greatness. Okay, anyway, without me butchering that saying for the 9th time, I'm going to go ahead and say that trying to be perfect makes it impossible for you to make any move at all. There's always a million different pieces of advice that you could get from, people who are smart. But at the end of the day, you have to decide what's right for you. And you have to understand when it's time to just make a move. You can line up your sights all day trying to perfectly hit the target. And the truth is, you're never gonna learn how to hit the target until you shoot and miss a couple times. Sometimes you need to shoot and miss. If Jordan was always trying to figure out how to make it go in 100% of the time, he would not have taken as many shots. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I'm bringing all this up to say, it's smart to plan and to figure out the smart way to do things, the right way to do things. But at the end of the day, you need to figure out how you're going to do something, not how you're going to do it perfect. Sometimes you just need to make a move. With that said, let's keep going. All right, the first mistake I made was in trying to create a business instead of getting attention. I think that you guys already know how I feel about attention and how important I feel attention is whereas it comes to business. Make sure you watch to the end of the video, because by the end of the video, not only will I have given you multiple mistakes that I made on my way out of the 9 to 5, but I'm also going to present you with some resources that give you a more in-depth look at each of the different topics. The first mistake I made was trying to create a business instead of trying to get attention. When you create a business, the first thing that you need to do as a business owner is make your first dollar. And what I didn't understand back so many years ago, I think it was about 4 years ago, I started a software consulting company because I wanted that consulting company to give me enough money to leave the 9-to-5 and do exactly what I was already doing, which was coding, creating apps and websites, except doing it for myself. The problem was I had no idea how I would get clients. And that is actually the most important part of every single business. How are you getting leads? How are you nurturing them? And how are you closing on them? It is so important that my business floundered into nothingness. After about, how long was it? After about 2 years of failing to get customers in that business. It's not like I didn't get any. But it's not like I got enough to say that it was any, if you know what I mean. So, long story short, the business didn't really go anywhere. And I ended up pivoting out of the business and essentially closing the doors on it some years later because I could not get the deal flow required to keep the doors open. I could not make the sales I needed to keep the business going, and definitely not enough to leave my 9-to-5. Mistake number 1. To elaborate a little further on that topic. Pinky out. The problem with that mindset was there needed to be a reason why people came to get software built. Even though there are tons of people who need software, they don't know me. And even if they did know me, they didn't trust me. I've got so many people that even though they've known me for years, they didn't trust me to build their software for them because they didn't know me or what I could do. To them, I was a new guy trying to do a new thing that I wasn't really that good at, even though I was. They didn't see why they should invest in me. What I needed to do was get attention. I needed to get known for building software. And if I had done that, then I would have been so much further along. So much further along. I didn't need to build one single website, one single app. Just the fact that I was building attention and I was working at software companies would have allowed me to start a software consulting company and have deal flow from day one. Major mistake. Focus on getting attention. Focus on how exactly people are going to come in your door and spend money with you, because the product or the service is actually secondary. The second mistake I'll go over here is that I spread myself way too thin. Way too thin. I spoke on in a previous video. Back when I was trying to figure out how to make it out of the 9-to-5, I was doing a ton of different things. My software consulting business, as I spoke on earlier, was not reaching enough sales. And so I tried to find X, Y, and Z that I could do that would start to bring in the sales. I started doing free work for organizations. Free work for 2 different organizations. And at those 2 organizations, they loved that I was giving them free work, but they didn't exactly plan on paying me for it either. So just because you do free work does not exactly mean that you're going to start getting paid for it. I could have done this so much better, and I do actually recommend that if you're going to start a software consulting company or any sort of consulting company, I do recommend that you start out by doing a little bit of free work and then showcasing that free work so that you can get some of your beginning deal flow. But I didn't do it in the best way possible. And because of that, I was just doing tons of things without any real value, without me extracting any real value. There was value to the people who I did the free work for. I created some beautiful, beautiful sites, right? Some beautiful applications that could have worked for organizations, but it just didn't benefit me any, right? So just to give you an idea of how thin I was spread, at the peak, I had 2 businesses of my own, worked for 2 different organizations for free, had a 9-to-5, and also was going to a mastermind. I was spread so thin. And even at this time, I wanted to create content. So I was pushing out a random video here and there, trying to get some video traction, but I didn't have any time. I didn't have any time to actually put towards the videos. It went nowhere. I should have chosen one of those paths. I would say the first thing I should have done was get attention. If I had worked on one of them, and one of them only, for the 4 years I was in business before quitting my job, or for the 7 years that I was a software developer trying to quit my job, then I would have had enough momentum. I would have had enough speed and enough traction built up to be able to take the leap. Because any plane that you see taking off, it's got to get a running start. It needs momentum before it can jump. I never found a jumping point. I never found a point where my momentum was carrying me so strongly that it made sense to jump. That's why I ended up just taking the leap. That's what some entrepreneurs end up having to do, but it's ill-advised.
Ooh, ill-advised.
Anyway, let's move to the next point. The next point kicks off the second part of this. So the first part you could think of as things that I should have done in the 4 to 7 years that I was trying to figure out how to leave my 9-to-5. This second portion of the video is around things that I should have done right before I left. So I made the decision that I was going to leave. All I knew was that I had a business that I was focused on. I had shut everything else down by this time. SoHeart, I knew was it. I knew I wanted to be a tech founder and build my tech startup that was going to change the world for the better. But I missed a couple key steps on my way out. I should have done these two things to get me to the next level. So the third point is I should have come up with a plan for how I would spend my time. My prioritization was off. I should have known exactly what was the highest priority task for me to tackle every single day. And I could have created a plan, a yearly plan or a 3-month plan that talked about what key activities would have gotten me to where I wanted to be. The last mistake I'll go over is that I should have gotten all of my health together before leaving the 9-to-5. When you have a 9-to-5, at least if you have a good paying 9-to-5, you will have a health plan. And that health plan basically is the key selling point. All right, now I'm going to give you guys 3 resources here. These 3 videos are videos that I've already created on my channel that go in depth into each of these topics that I just spoke on right now. The first is attention is everything. I'm telling you how important attention is, and I just can't stress enough that you are not going to create a successful business without figuring out where your deal flow is coming from. So check out this video around how important attention is. And I'm pointing, but I have no idea where the video is going to be. So whatever it is, get the video. It'll be in the description for sure, okay? The second resource is the last video I uploaded around how you should not do everything at once. You need a focus and you need a specific priority to be going after, or else you're spreading yourself way too thin and going nowhere. So I'll link that video in the description as well. And then the third resource is how prioritization is important, how time management / priority management, as I call it, is important. So check out this video on time and energy management, and you will be the next step closer to being a baller like I, okay? Check out these 3 resources. Come on back for more, and we will grow together. Catch you later. Perfection is the enemy of action. Let me try that again. Perfection is the enemy of progress. I like that. But basically, without me butchering this for the 8th take. The first mistake I'll bring up is when I was trying to leave the 9 to 5, I created a business. Where is my water? The first mistake I'll bring up, I'm going to get my water. Let's go. I needed that.
Okay, let's roll. Roll it again.